This is WVBN reporting from Italy. The Regia Marina began the planning of Aquila after approval from Mussolini. Rather than a fast-tracked conversion, however, they opted to delay construction in order to design Aquila as a fully fledged fleet carrier, as well as anticipate the construction of their second carrier, Sparviero. These plans are estimated to take a month to draw up. Many companies, both domestic and international, competed to produce the aircraft that would be used on these carriers, including the Italian Piaggio, Reggiane, and Savoia Marchetti companies. All had designs that were promised to be capable. The only hurdle in the Regia Marina's plans was a lack of pilots, as the Regia Aeronautica was still seen as the more prestigious aerial branch, and would take up a majority of aerial resources for the foreseeable future. Duilio led a task force sent to locate and destroy the Morgana Malus, known as Alaria to the Italians, in the Mediterranean Sea. Alaria had a penchant for dressing up as a Visigoth, and nobody in Italy knew what to make of it, save that rampaging Morgana had to be destroyed. And rampage Alaria did, leaving a trail of ships and raids along the coast of French North Africa, looting cities but generally leaving the native population unharmed unless they offered resistance. She claimed the Europeans were occupiers in broadcasts sent out over radio waves, adding that the only worthy leaders were those who treated their colonial subjects as equals through service. This was noted as a policy of the ancient Roman Republic, but did little to explain her actions. By the time the Italian task force had reached Oran near Mers el-Kabir, they found the city torched, with many vessels burned to the waterline or scuttled. Duilio would have kept up the search were it not for a voice over the radio that cut through the static, desperately pleading for help. Duilio's captain opted to investigate, suspecting there was more going on than was seen. Following the success of the grand Italian-Japanese-British war game, Hojo continued to offer tactical assistance to the Italians in developing their carrier doctrine, helping simulate numerous smaller-scale engagements in the following weeks. One such engagement saw Conte de Cavour and Hojo square off, with Caesar leading a small squadron of bells to ward off Morganas nearby. This time, Nero announced her presence, one the Italians were now quite familiar with. The Morgana hit the Italians fast, and the situation was dire until a number of phenomena happened at nearly the same time. The cruiser Trieste began to glow, and her guns started firing with rapid precision at the attacking Morganas. A female voice called out to attack through the east. It was unmistakably the Belle of Trieste, who led her unawakened sister Trento through the Morgana hordes, butchering many along the way. Conte and Hojo cleared up any that survived their assault. The Italians saw shelling from the west by an unknown source, pelting Nero's forces. After the majority of the Morganas had been mopped up, the Italians cut through the mist to find themselves face to face with Alaria herself, standing proudly like a warrior prince of old. She congratulated the Italians about assisting her to drive off Nero, before promising the aid of the Wolf Queen again if they needed and quickly steaming off. The entire situation left the Italians quite confused. In the west, Italian officials concluded they would need to work with Britain to better fortify Gibraltar, in order to prevent any more Morgana like Alaria charging through unopposed. While the Morgana had tricks of their own, the Italians believed they could whip up a few surprises themselves. A small recon force of 3 destroyers, led by Giovanna de Verrazzano, scouted the Morgana supply lines deep into the north near the Arctic Circle. They were shocked to discover a base within the heavy mist. This was not like other hastily constructed fortifications, but a large complex built into the Arctic ice, hosting numerous dry docks and slipways. One sailor recognized a mischief in dry dock as the same that had attacked Australia and New Zealand, now suddenly appearing in the north undergoing heavy repair. The scouting fleet knew they had to withdraw with this information and hoped to do so undetected, but in vain. Quickly surrounded by the mist, the small force would have been annihilated if not for the emergence of an Italian ship, flying the colors of Italy and, below that, the Prussian navy. A blonde woman with a Prussian saber and Regia Marina dress uniform stood at the front of the cruiser Berry. She wore a red and white sash embroidered with the coat of arms of Berry and Pillau. and a bicorn hat with red and white plumage, rounded out by a scarlet cape. The Belle was furious at the Morgana for interrupting her Italian vacation, summoning her to the frigid waters of the north. Though she was quite savage in her verbal attacks on the Morgana, the breakout she led was more tactful, weaving through Morganas and minefields until the small Italian fleet reached neutral waters. Though she was aghast to hear the destroyers went to sail to Narvik, as Scandinavian cuisine had a reputation for smelling quite horrid, she agreed that the intelligence should be delivered as quickly as possible. Her captain did deliver some wine and perfume to her cabin, though. Back in Italy, Mount Etna erupted in Sicily, the strongest in 40 years. The Tina Primo transport ship sunk after striking a mine and being towed by the British ship Kenya. The Italians claimed Kenya towed them into additional mines, which was furiously rejected by the British. Rome hosted the first meeting of the Greater Balkan Neutrality Pact to the excitement of all representatives. This has been WVBN reporting from Italy.